and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I'm a wildlife, food, forest, garden designer. And I forgot the intro screen. Hold on a second. Let me go to the intro screen. It's a walled garden, a walled garden update. So this is the this is ready. Video ready is for the client. So I'm doing an awful lot of client work at the moment. I love this job. It's brilliant. Oh, my CAD program stopped working. Please start working again. This is a 2-acre walled garden up in West Scotland, and my CAD has crashed. So that's really there we go. And it's a really lovely job. And the client's just wanting. We're just starting to go through all the trees. So I've been talking to my friend Martin Hayes, the apple man. And we have been looking at a whole range of different varieties, cultivars, for apples, pears, there's quinces, plums, cherries. There's an awful lot going on. My computer is too old. I've decided it's too old to do live streaming. It just doesn't want to play ball. But anyway, so what I wanted to discuss were the changes that I've made, that I've been talking about with the client. Is it going to be? Yeah, it's a bit clunky. So let's just I'll kind of go through them really. So very interesting website called scottishfruittrees.com. Oh goodness me. I will do this. Hold on a second. Clunk. scottishfruittrees.com, and that's been invaluable looking at the different varieties that work in the area. Now I know with climate change there's going to be a fair degree of warming up and a fair degree of volatility, and so the best thing you can do is spread your bets, is to get like a range. And I think this is always what you should be thinking about anyway. Whenever you're planting fruit trees, apple tree, well, any fruit trees really, is to get a spread, so you don't get all the crop in one go. You want to have a range of different varieties, so you have early, middle and late, and you get a combination of cookers and eaters and cider apples if that's what you want. And then you have ones which you have to eat straight away, and ones that you can keep as well. So the later season ones tend to be the ones that keep longer, and then that way you can extend the season for like 9 months of the year. So that's always approach it like that. Spread the harvest, but also spread the kind of conditions and the varieties. Yep. So yeah. So at least one apple tree will be producing. What was also interesting as well is that apparently sweet chestnuts don't really get a chance to ripen up there, and it's interesting because there's a temperature thing, but there's also a light thing going on as well. And it's on the west coast, so it's it's more maritime climate. It's kind of similar climate to West Wales, but less light. So yeah. So it's interesting. So read up for people who are in the area or who are about the place. There's, for example, if you're up in Aberdeen, there's a chap called Alan Carter who's written a great book called Food Forest in Your Garden or something. Foodforest.garden is his website. But he's on the east coast in Aberdeen, so the rainfall's less and it's colder than the west coast, but it's still hot. It's up there, so you get a sense of what will work and what won't work in your area. So the changes that we looked at the apples, so we've got the apples on the go, and then we were discussing shifting the gardens around but we're not going to. There's not a vast amount to be gained from that. So this garden up here is the Mediterranean garden. It's a broad sketch at the moment. There's a couple of trees in there. There's stone pine, Italian alder. Oh, I moved a bay tree up there, but a fig tree. But there's an awful lot. You kind of want to keep. Well, there's an awful lot that you can do with that area in terms of the planting, but that comes later on. That's more like the kind of shrub layer and the herbaceous perennials, but the Mediterranean plants. So that's an interesting space. Needs some more work doing it, like the next stage. This stage, we're just really looking at this is again how I'd like to enter into a garden design process anyway is that you do the big stuff first of all, get the trees and the big shrubs in and the windbreaks in, and then concentrate on area by area. You can start looking at the smaller shrubs and herbaceous perennials and the ground cover at a late, do them as the next stage. So the plan is that we will be planting this winter, and plant up all the windbreaks, all the canopy. It'll be grass, keeping the grass down, mowing the grass paths. So the kind of structure of the garden is in place, and then it's kind of developing over the next few years. And the treehouse. Sorry, I'm just going to reading through the notes as well. Now, one thing he did say, and this is what it's invaluable for any job at all. You need to kind of get on site. So this has been a real collaboration, just in terms of having the client go on site and other people involved in it, and to see what works and what doesn't work. And he wanted to keep that vista, keep that view through. So originally there's a Gabion wall which was running around. There's a water feature in the centre, a wildlife pond possibly, and a Gabion wall running around. The idea for a Gabion wall, it could be a stone wall, would be ideal. If you can find someone to build a stone wall, we can't find anyone, stonemason to do a stone wall locally. So if we were to build a stone wall, I'd use Gabions because they're easier to put together. And actually, I'm using them on a job locally, hopefully. So that was originally going around. It was protected on the north side with a strawberry tree behind it. But now he wants to open up, so you've got a vista all the way down through to the water feature, which is very exciting. So then I've put, actually thinking about it, just to give more protection around it, because you can see straight through. I want to actually put the walls around the other side as well, so there's still more kind of places. And the idea is to put seating in there, so you have a Gabion wall and seating. So the Gabion walls, the stone wall or Gabion wall, are brilliant for wildlife because they're full of crevices. It's like right proper habitat. So really, really good. If you've got a stone pile, does the same kind of thing, but less permanent. But a stone wall is fantastic, or a Gabion wall is fantastic as well. So I put two more down here, and then got the strawberry tree. They're a beautiful tree, and have that in 4 quarters. So it's quite more symmetrical, which is good. And then he also wanted symmetry across the different parts of the garden. So in terms of the southern part of the garden, there's an orchard, quote unquote orchard, which it's kind of hard. I don't know if you can see that. You got the windbreaks running, so everything's running, flowing through from one side to the other. So there's 2 big windbreaks and one slightly more formal on that side, and it flows through to this side, and then one on that side, and it kind of comes through to this one. So there's 2 windbreaks in there, kind of staggered windbreaks, and there is a line there, and then also there's like a mixed berry, and this is kind of a bit vague at the moment, but we'll get there. There's a mixed berry kind of miniature windbreak down here. So rather than using something like it's a quite high traffic area, so using fruit bushes and like a mixed fruit bush, so different currants and possibly honeysuckle, honeyberry bush, things like that in a bush, like a miniature windbreak. So they're all the way round now, and there's like a low windbreak round by the veg as well. So there's more kind of repetition there. Oh, I've changed the name from the glade to nut cluster because it is a cluster of nuts. And then all to this, so there's a meadow on this side. So there is, it is kind of quite. There's more kind of, hopefully more repetition on that, and then start to bring the plants down. So Italian alder, I'll have a think about this as well, but just to temper it, bear with me. The Italian alder, when you come in, you're having a pair of Italian alders by the entrance on the west side, and then a pair on the east side as well, and that mirrors what's happening down on the south side. And the nice thing about Italian alders is that they're very upright, and then you can take off the lower branches, so you actually get an awful lot of light in. But they're beautiful, beautiful trees, and they're quite they're quite something. And that'll be real kind of bump into the into the wall garden with these two big trees on either side, which have got the lower branches taken off. So we'll have that's a possibility. And then with the Japanese garden, and I say Japanese garden, the idea of the Japanese garden really is it's like a kind of calm space, meandering path with water and a place to sit, and it's not, it's kind of I like the ideas behind it. That you don't find your way there straight. You've actually got to make an effort to get there. It's a meandering garden, and I want to put in some cherries on a dwarfing rootstock. They have to be staked on Gisela rootstock, and I put some more in on either side so that there will be an avenue of cherries and a mix of species as well. And I'm kind of going for edible cherries. And the nice thing about keeping them together, if you really, cherries will get eaten by the birds unless you net them in some shape or form. But they'll be stunningly beautiful regardless when their blossom comes out in the spring. But they're all in one place, and they're kind of quite close to, if you want to net them, then they're quite close. So those are the main changes that I've made. And also looking at the arbor, I did a rough sketch of the arbors, but is to have very, very basic arbor, 6 posts and like supports on the top, and you plant a crabapple on each of the posts and train them up and along the supports, and they get this amazing arbor. Again, a variety of different cultivars with different colours, and fantastic for wildlife as well, and edible. That would be one heck of a lot of crabapple jelly. And so what is great about this space as well, it's a big space, and there's an awful lot of trees in there. So yes, this is a very kind of exciting stage, putting the trees in. So there we go. That's the kind of update for the walled garden. Hope that's interesting for those people whose garden it isn't, which is pretty much everybody apart from the client. And yes, I shall witter on about other gardens at some other points. Got some really, really interesting projects coming up, but I shall talk about them another time. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Speak to you.